sorry, we can't help you with what happens after dinner. I mean, you're going to have to take...
We won't go there.
Wait, it's Valentine's Day. Unless you're 62 years old. I know what I'm doing. I'm sleeping.
They say a journey begins in a single step, or in my case, one less piece of bread. My name is Chad, and I'm your test subject. I have sought out an expert in the field of nutrition and fitness who I hoped would help me feel, well, better. They call him the biohacker, but I call him Eric. I hope you'll join me on a path that leads you and I to optimal fitness as we live our lives in ketosis. This is the Life in Ketosis podcast, a biohacker's guide to optimal body performance. Hello everyone, my name is Chad, and this is episode 22 of my quest to achieving optimal body performance with the man that can get me there, the biohacker himself, Mr. Eric Bischoff. Every episode, I'll be sharing my actual results, both successes and failures, as Eric teaches me how to apply the principles of ketogenics and functional movement to look and feel fantastic. And just as a reminder, the first 5 episodes of this podcast are our foundational episodes. That's where you get your foundational knowledge for all of the things that we talk about in the later episodes. So if you haven't listened to those, we encourage you to push pause here now, go back, listen to those, and then join us back here when you're done. That will give you a good foundation. Today is a very special podcast for a couple of reasons. One, we're in Laura's kitchen. Eric, do you want to introduce Laura?
Sure. This isn't my sweetheart. This is actually my sister. This is my twin sister. All right. So I'm excited to be here and have her with us because she is the cooking in ketosis, and it's been fantastic. And excited to have you on the podcast, Laura.
And, I'm excited to be here. It's going to be fun.
Great.
Yeah, just so a little background. Yep. Laura is an incredible cook. She doesn't like it when I say gourmet cook.
No, I'm not gourmet.
So she's not gourmet. She's easy. She's
easy
an easy
good.
cook. So
and she's cooked for me. Wow, not that I made her cook for me. She volunteered cook for me because I'm not a good cook. But how many years? Oh, we've been sharing meals for 62 years, right?
Yeah.
Wait, are you counting in the womb too? Because
yeah.
you shared meals in there
yeah,
too.
we did.
Well, I had to kick him out. He came out first. I was like, I'm done with you. I came out feet first and kicked him out. Like, quit hogging my food.
He was taking all the food.
He was.
But she's always been.
Were you malnourished when you came out?
Because... No, I actually was bigger than he was.
I was always, I was the small one, always.
Well, this is fun. It's really fun to introduce you, Laura, because you've been doing so much behind the scenes for us with all of our recipes and our cookbooks that we've been releasing and all of these tools that we've been providing for people with food. You have been behind all of it. So this is our first chance to introduce you, which brings me to our topic for today, food.
Yes.
And not only food.
Keto food.
And Valentine's Day food.
And how important food is. And that's why I had to bring her in. We had to bring her in because she's so good at this food preparation and meals and planning and recipes and macros and taste. And I tell you, had to get you in the kitchen.
I know. Glad to be a part.
Yeah.
So today's episode is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be a little bit interesting. We're trying something new here, just like we did a couple weeks ago with Eric on the bike. We tried something new, and it actually worked out really well. People have said they loved it. So I hope this will be the same thing. So we've actually been, Laura's been slaving away in the kitchen to make us some dishes for Valentine's Day. And if you haven't heard, wake up. Tomorrow is Valentine's Day. So if you haven't done anything for Valentine's Day, it's tomorrow. We're releasing this podcast a day early so that you can prep. And we're actually going to talk about staying in keto on Valentine's Day, right?
Yep.
And we're going to share some meals with you. In the description of this podcast will be linked all of the recipes. It's and if you can't find the link, it's just biofitcoaching.com/be mine. Yeah, right. Like be my Valentine, right? Mm-hmm. So be mine. So biofit coaching keto.com/be-mine if you want to get the recipes for the food that we're going to talk about through this episode. Laura's going to give us the description of how to cook it and how to make a good meal for Valentine's Day. Eric's going to give us some of the nutritional facts, what some of these things are doing for our bodies, and I'm going to sit here and act like I know what I'm doing. I'm just going to watch and taste the food.
In the description and things as well, when they go for the recipes, it will have the macros as well.
Yes.
And,
all of this food will have the macros so that you'll know exactly how to track it. We're big on tracking our macros on a daily basis. I have so many people that tell me, I'm just gonna wing it. Yeah. I'm just gonna eat what I'll know I'll do good. And I always tell them it's dangerous. It's a dangerous thing to do that unless you are so routine and you've tracked for a few months, and then because you end up eating more carbs than you think.
Exactly.
And that's dangerous, right? Especially when we're eating all the high fats. So I'm excited to dive in. We're going to talk about the dishes that we have in front of us. If you're listening to this, you don't get the viewing pleasure that we have, or those who are watching on YouTube have. And you can probably hear our doggies, Laura's doggies in the background, because we're in our kitchen, and we couldn't kick them out. She was like, nope, no.
Well, those dogs smell the good food. Yeah. They want hard. They want to come eat.
That's right. So we have a 3-course meal in front of us.
Yes.
So we're going to talk about this meal, and then we're going to also, I know a lot of people like to go out to eat for Valentine's Day, and we want to make sure that this is functional, right? So we don't want you to have to sacrifice going out to eat just because you're in ketosis.
Yeah.
And thirdly, I will mention this stuff is awesome, and this is what I'm going to be doing for Valentine's Day, is making my wife dinner. With some of these recipes. Yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing. But it's not for everybody to stay in ketosis. And one thing that we're really big on is making life functional, right, Eric? Right. So talk about scaling out really, really quick.
This, for those that can see the meal, you do not need to scale out for Valentine's Day. Okay, there's no reason to. Okay, there's nothing that you're missing, that you're not getting here. Okay, I mean, that's a fantastic meal, and that's what's neat and exciting about keto, is because with Laura's help, what we're trying to do is provide these kind of meals to where you don't think or be motivated to scale out. Like, I can't eat a big dinner and a nice dinner because I'm keto. That's not true. Okay, and more when you're in ketosis, and those that are out there in ketosis, you realize that, like, what's the big deal? I don't need to scale out because I can eat exactly as good food or better. Okay, that cheesecake, I mean, it's like the real thing. What am I looking for if I need to scale out?
Yeah.
So we scale out on Thanksgiving or certain times if you have a big social event. Like you said, we're not big on being strict because we live in a social world. So we still gotta go out with our friends and our families, and there is birthday parties and things like that you still want to be a part of. Yeah. You don't want to be like we talked about before, that guy that let him go over there in the corner and eat his food,
Yeah.
Fill out his little sack.
Yeah, but it's not like the old days. You're over there just eating you'd be in the corner eating some nice fat food and some really good tasting stuff. So
yeah, absolutely.
Keep it social,
One thing I want to add is this isn't hard. This is a very quick, easy meal to put together. And it's not labor intensive.
Yeah.
And so, and that's the way I cook. I do not like spending a lot of time in the kitchen. I don't like spending a lot of time in the kitchen. So I try to find things that are good and move along quickly.
Yeah.
And this is not really labor intensive.
Yeah. So. One thing I will say is if your significant other is in ketosis or is eating keto, and you go and cook this meal for them on Valentine's, how cool is that?
Yeah.
Like, that's a big deal.
It is.
That's very thoughtful. So I hope that this is a tool for people. So we're going to talk about what we have in front of us. We're going to try a couple bites, and we're going to talk about going out to dinner. And then, we can't help you with what happens after dinner. I mean, you're going to have to take...
We won't go there.
Wait, it's Valentine's Day. Unless you're 62 years old. I know what I'm doing. I'm sleeping. Or we're training. We're probably training that night. Huh?
If you need any help
get my wife out to train.
If you need any help there, a couple of weeks ago we did sex and keto.
I know.
So,
and I gave that. My wife said
We need to bring your wife
My
on.
wife said that podcast hasn't helped yet. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Okay, well, let's dive in. So we have an appetizer. Do you want to tell us what the appetizer is, Laura?
The appetizer is stuffed crab mushrooms with cheeses, crab and
So
Yeah.
crab
Different
stuffed
cheeses.
mushrooms. So you have cheese. You have cream cheese.
You got
we
fat. You got
we got the
omega-3.
fat.
You got crab in there.
And there,
so
and with the
good fatty
cream
acids.
cheese, yeah,
All right, cheese. Good dairy
and
products.
mozzarella and
Mushrooms are good for
mushrooms
you. Yeah.
have great.
No carbs. Mm-mm.
But you'll be
green
getting some
green
green
onions
got
if
green
you
onions?
like.
instead.
If you
Okay.
like onions.
Yes.
And
they add
Laura
the
was
flavor.
telling me earlier as we were cooking these things that actually green onions have less carbs than yellow onions.
Yes.
And red. Yep.
Yep.
Yellow
Red's the
and-
most. Yeah.
Red's the most. Cool. So should we try them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Let's do this.
That's what I do.
I have been waiting for this.
I'm the taste tester.
So you don't really need to make these. Actually, you can just take our word for us.
I'm not
take our word for it of how delicious they
I'm
are.
going for the onions.
So absolutely, I have to go for the onions.
Well, I need
Mushroom?
really good
Cool.
pictures here because this is my sweetheart's dinner right here that you're all
Yeah.
looking at and eating.
We're eating your husband's dinner.
Yeah,
Is that what
this is
you're
his
saying?
Valentine's dinner.
Oh,
I'll kick them fresh. Won't be
That's
fresh.
really good.
these are so good.
I'm not a crab eater. I love fish, omega. I love all of it, but I'm not a guy that orders crab.
Yeah, me
But
either.
this is really good.
Yeah, and that's what I told Laura earlier. I said, you're really going to have to convince me because I am not a crab guy. But this is incredible.
So this is like your appetizer.
Yeah.
That's not. It tastes really good.
So you have a 3-course meal. Turn on the music, put your flowers out, serve
That's good.
appetizer with some
That's really
What
good.
is-
Laura.
ginger ale.
When you're looking at ingredients for this, do you just buy whatever's available in the supermarket, or what are you looking for when you go purchasing ingredients? Just some of the things that you're looking for, like the mushrooms or the onions or the crab, that sort of stuff.
Well, I try to get as fresh as I can. So I know different grocery stores that seem to carry a fresher variety of produce.
Right.
And so I'll draw towards those. And fish-wise, or crab, any kind of fish, I try to stick with markets that I know will buy the fresher fish.
Yeah.
Because nothing's
Yeah.
worse than getting
Right.
shrimp or
Yeah.
something that's
And you want
not
clean
fresh.
fish too, right? I mean,
and as
we've
clean
talked
as
about-
I can get, because it's
hard to get good fish.
It's
It's
hard
hard.
to get good fish. As
Yeah.
a rule of thumb, I always try to get wild caught, and sometimes that's hard to come by.
Especially when you're landlocked like us, right?
Yes,
But on
true.
Valentine's Day, I would just splurge. And
You just get what you find.
Get all the mercury.
I got shrimp.
Get
I
all
got
that
scallops.
mercury you
I don't
can.
care. I'm
yeah.
gone. Pick your
Yeah.
poison on that
That
day.
sounds
No.
amazing.
Well, and one thing to remember too
Yeah.
is you're not eating shrimp for every meal
No,
or
it's-
scallops, and so you get a little bit of that mercury. You're gonna be okay.
You process it.
Yep.
Keep everything else good, and then help process
Just
it
a-
through.
Yeah, for sure. So remember, for these recipes, instructions, pictures, all of that kind of stuff, biofitcoaching.com/be mine is where you can get all the information for this food. Let's move on to the main course.
All right.
Describe the main course to us.
All right, this is our surf and turf ribeye steak, and we have shrimp and scallops and sautéed asparagus. And the ribeye steak is on top, has some garlic butter with herbs in it that help just melt and get those flavors
Butter's
around
awesome for that.
the steak. And cooking it was a fun, different way.
Yeah.
And it was, you get a black iron skillet and put it in your oven and set it for 500 degrees in there, and do it for 5 minutes, pull it out, and then put the steak on, and you sear it for 2 minutes on each side. But this was a thinner steak, so it was a minute on each side, and it seals those juices in and makes it just moist and juicy. And then you put it back in the black skillet. It goes back in the oven at 500 degrees with the steaks, and then you cook it for another 20 seconds if your ribeye is on a thinner level.
Huh.
If it's a little thicker, then you only do it for about 45 seconds on each side, and then pull it out, and then you have a medium rare, juicy steak.
It looks incredible. For those of you that are listening, and you probably can't see it all that well from the camera either, it looks so delicious. And since you've sat it down on the table, I can't wait to try it, especially the asparagus. Asparagus is my favorite, so I'm really excited for that. So we have asparagus, we have scallops, we have
and the shrimp and scallops are sautéed as well.
Yeah.
And butter.
What'd you
asparagus
saute
was
in
in
the
olive.
scallops and shrimp?
Butter.
You just butter, straight butter with
Straight
seasoning.
butter.
Okay.
with
With
a little bit of seasoned
Salt,
salt, pepper,
pepper.
and what was the other one?
Garlic.
Yep. Yeah.
Garlic herb seasoning.
Cool.
good.
Let's try it.
And- all right.
Should we
let's
try
go
it?
for
Do it. I'm gonna
Okay,
get
go for it, Eric.
Get some of that shrimp first. I love shrimp.
I'll try
And
a scallop.
I
We're
love
okay
scallops.
with fingers here. Is that okay?
Yeah. And I'll come around for some shrimp.
I haven't had scallops very much.
No,
Those are really
I love
good.
scallops. I used to eat a lot of scallops. Mm-hmm.
All right. Eat your favorite there,
Yep.
Chad.
I want the asparagus.
Scallop.
Apparently, some of this is just going to be us eating. we didn't think through that very well.
No, I know. I'm eating quick.
Don't choke.
That's really good. And I love
It is so
asparagus.
good.
You got your phytonutrients there. It's really a complete meal and healthy too. And it doesn't, if you show that to somebody who's not keto, they'd be like, that's what you eat for keto?
Yeah, they won't believe it.
It's like, really? You say you're on a diet? We don't call it a diet. But
So here's my question, Eric.
yeah.
This is your test,
Okay.
sciencey boy. Why does asparagus make your pee smell so terrible?
I don't know.
Instantly.
But I'm tired of my kids coming to me all my life saying, oh, what was that cereal that they...
Sugar puffs.
Yeah, sure, yeah. Hey, you gotta smell it. My pee smells just like that.
Sugar puffs.
I'm like, what? And
it's true.
asparagus does too.
You didn't think pee would come up in our Valentine's dinner episode,
no.
did you?
Nope. But
That's awesome. Anybody going to try the steak?
go ahead.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Knife.
yeah. I'll
Yeah.
cut a
Knife.
piece on this side.
Yeah, just cut off a piece there.
There's a good fat piece over here with a little piece of fat on it. My wife gets really grossed out when I
And one
when I
thing
eat the
really
fat.
nice about the ribeye steaks are
I love
they
them.
have a great marble and fat through it, which brings a lot of great flavor.
And fat, right?
Yeah.
Which is what we're going
It is.
It's
for.
really tender too.
Does the fat...
Yeah.
And
Good saturated fat.
everybody knows I get to ask the dumb questions,
Yeah.
right? So, does the fat in steak
Yeah.
translate to us? Translate as the fat that we consume. Does
Yeah,
that make
yeah,
sense?
it-
I don't know how to ask that
Yeah,
question.
I mean, it's a saturated fat, obviously. Okay.
Okay.
So it's going to go in your stomach, obviously, break down
Cool.
as a triglyceride into its fatty acids, end up going through, the regular process, the chylomicrons, carrying that fat through, triglyceride, just go right through the bloodstream and getting used by your muscle tissues or stored as fat if you're not careful.
Yeah.
But I like it. I trim off sometimes, but I like the taste of fat. So,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I'm just barely starting to come around to fat.
I-
I used to be really, really picky about
Most
it.
people still cut
Well,
their
I-
fat off, but my wife looks at me and I don't mind.
Well, I don't know. I don't
like
know
the
if we've
taste
talked
of it.
about this on the
Yeah.
podcast before, but I actually was vegetarian for 9
Yeah,
years.
I remember we mentioned
And
it.
yeah.
I was vegan for 2
9
years.
years.
Yeah.
You're that
2
long?
years.
Oh,
Yep.
wow.
Yeah, and then started eating meat again. So it's been a gradual process to get back into
Yeah.
meat, and I think that fat is kind of one of those things
Right.
you gotta work into a little.
Yeah, especially if there's big, chunks of fat like that. Yeah, but it gives you the flavor. You don't have
Oh,
to
yeah.
eat it, but
Yeah.
And that's why you like fatty meats, because that marbling of fat gives you all the taste.
And that's one thing I
Yes.
didn't know. This is one thing that I learned recently, actually, is that marbling, your steak is usually going to be better tasting
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
and more tender, and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff with a marbled fat in it. And
is.
I always thought you were going for like the leanest
No.
piece you could find.
That's
you know?
when you didn't eat fat.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the cheaper.
That's the stuff
that's
that
the
tastes
cheaper
like
meat.
Yeah, that's the stuff that tastes like jerky when you
Yeah,
barbecue it.
That's why I love elk and venison, but it's so
Misunderstood.
lean.
It's very lean.
And you don't get the fat in there to really get the taste. But I love the taste of the meat, but I'm not getting a lot of fat from it.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Yeah. Well, should we move on to
Sure.
what I think will probably be the biggest hit of the meal, which is the
That looks
dessert?
really good.
It looks incredible.
That looks
if
good.
you are listening to this on a podcast venue, I really encourage you to go on YouTube, take a look at what this thing looks like, because it's incredible. There will also be some pictures in the recipes, where we link the recipes.
Yeah.
But tell us about the dessert,
Yeah.
Laura.
All right. This is a cheesecake cookie crust dessert with a cookie crust and a cream cheese filling with some melted dark chocolate drizzled over, and of course we garnished with a little bit of berries.
Is
Healthy
that
berries.
almond flour or coconut flour for a cookie?
It's done with some almond flour and some coconut flour.
Oh, a mixture.
A mixture.
Oh.
Coconut flour helps bind it together with the almond flour. So,
I mean, that looks...
so
Do you cook with both? Coconut and almond a lot? Like
never cook much by myself, or cook with just flour, coconut flour on its own. But I do a lot with almond flour and then some coconut, and then I mix them. So.
Yeah.
One thing to be aware of that we kind of found in our kitchen is that coconut flour will add a little bit of a taste to stuff. Where, I mean, most flour is supposed to be kind of transparent and just go for consistency, and it's going to add a little bit of a flavor.
Does. Yeah. I don't notice it. I don't notice any difference really, but
I'm
some
an almond
do.
flour, but we use coconut flour, but I use a lot of almond flour for my cookies.
But I add it to a lot, and so.
This looks amazing. Can we try it?
Absolutely.
All right, let's do it.
Tell me
Jump
if you
in.
taste the coconut, because it's coconut in there.
I like coconut.
Yeah, I do too, and I think it would go great with
My
a
wife
dessert.
doesn't like coconut, but she says a lot of the stuff she can't taste the coconut. You can't taste it.
Yeah, when it's mixed with a lot of times with other things. And a lot of times it's just like
Oh my gosh.
a cup and a
That's
half
really good.
of almond flour to like maybe 2 tablespoons of coconut flour. So it's not a,
That's really good.
a
I'm going to have another
huge...
bite.
Laura, those
With
are
a berry.
amazing.
Good. I'm glad you like them.
And this is something you made up.
Yes.
This is
really
not,
good.
This is, I mean, a lot of the stuff, obviously, you didn't make up steak.
No, I did not.
You made the butter. I mean, you made up the butter that goes on it and that kind of stuff. But this just came from your own kitchen. That's awesome.
That's really good.
Those are so good.
That's really good.
And so we'll have the cookie recipe. It's a cream cheese cookie.
What do you call
recipe.
it? You have a name for it? Or?
We did.
Cream cheese cookie cakes
Yes.
is what it is.
Cream cheese cookie cakes?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what we're calling it.
Those are really good.
Yeah, those are delicious. People are going to love those.
I
And
think so.
you are missing nothing with this meal. Like, I mean, Eric, you already said it, but you are absolutely missing nothing with this
There's
meal.
nothing missing here. And that's what's so exciting about ketogenics and those that are out there that aren't keto. There's so much good food and more and more. And that's why we brought her on to have that Cooking in Ketosis, because we're going to show people, how good you can eat and then really tweak the meals for the taste of it. Because everybody says, oh, eat that. But when you actually see somebody make it and tweak it and really get the macros measured out, because there's, like we've talked about, there's a lot of recipes out there that are great, but there's errors in the macros.
Yeah.
Okay? Because when we start weighing out like she does, and the rest of the team will start weighing out all the macros to get it just perfect on macros, so we're not making any mistakes.
Yeah.
You don't want to get knocked out of ketosis without knowing why. I mean, oh my gosh, why am I getting knocked out? Because the macros were wrong.
But the one thing, though, it's hard to be consistent. I mean, there is some
there's variation.
error
But
in the...
very, very little though. There's,
yeah.
And
And
nothing's
so-
gonna be perfect, but we get it as close as we
We do.
can. You do really well.
Yeah.
Try to.
And the other team.
This is incredible. I cannot wait to take this stuff home and make it.
Well,
this
I'm
is
excited for
gonna
you
be
to
so
cook it for
good.
your wife.
I know.
I want to hear.
She's not even keto. I'm not even going to tell her it's a keto
Yeah.
meal. I'm just going to say I made Valentine's Day.
See, I can't-
You can serve that. Nobody's going to know that
No
is
way.
not keto and that was made with the erythritol sweetener.
it's
And,
incredible.
I wish I could make. My wife doesn't like seafood. Darn it! But I'll make something up.
That's
the
all right.
meat's good. The asparagus is good.
That's all right.
this
You
is
still have
good.
turf there.
I got plenty of stuff.
You don't
to
need
work
the
with.
surf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
And
the
the
other thing
asparagus.
you
figure out
can do
something.
in there is do cauliflower, break it up,
Yeah.
and then
Uh-huh.
cook it with cheese and some sour cream, and you kind of have
Oh, I could do that.
kind of like a baked
Mashed potato rice.
mashed,
Yeah.
type thing.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Mimic.
One thing, Eric, you said earlier, you mentioned, make this dinner, put some music on, that sort of thing. I was actually I'm going to share with you mine and my wife's tradition that we actually started last year. And it's been awesome. And we're going to do it again this year. So what we did is we created a shared playlist. And each of us added 10 songs to the playlist that remind us of that person.
Oh, what a good
that's
idea.
Yeah. So over the years, we'll keep that same playlist, but we'll add more songs every year. And I don't know, we've loved
That's
it. So
neat.
now throughout
That's a
the
good
year, we
idea.
listen to that playlist. And I'm
that's
thinking
cool.
about her when when I'm out listening to that playlist or whatever.
That is
good
really
idea.
a good idea. See,
So-
you teach old people new tricks.
Well,
Spice up our life a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. You haven't always had playlists. So it was like, you either like every song on this record or not.
We have one song. We have one song.
That's great. So let's talk really quick about going out to eat.
Yeah.
What are some of the survival, I don't want to call it survival, thrival.
Yeah.
How do we thrive when we go out and we eat at restaurants? What are we looking for?
This is what you can order in a restaurant right there. Okay.
Yeah.
This plate right
absolutely.
here. You've got your steak, you've got your shrimp, your scallops, and your veggie. Okay. That's a dinner. I mean, you know, and a salad to go with it, or there's I'm sure they have mushrooms with some type of appetizer.
Yeah.
And you can be really creative when you go out. If you're going out to steakhouses, of course, you're going to have these options.
Yeah.
Okay.
One thing I would say, one thing that I suggest, and this is something that I do anytime that I go out, if I'm ordering like seafood, I always ask, is it breaded?
Yeah.
It's not always clear, especially if you're going with like a lot of times I'll get fish tacos and take them out of the tortilla, and just eat the fish and all the fixings that come with it. So you got to make sure that it's not breaded, right?
Yeah.
Breaded and fried.
They always check up on. My wife gets real embarrassed when we go out. She's like, "Oh, you're not gonna ask all those dumb questions again, are you?" I'm like, "Hey, do you have any sugar, any type of that sweetener in your dressings?" And they're like, "Let me go check." And I go, "Wait a minute. You're using
I've got a list for you. Don't go away yet."
You have olive oil, or are you sneaking in some canola oil here? I don't need omega-6 fats, okay?
Yeah.
And they're like, "Well, no, we don't." And then they find, well, we put a little canola oil in here. Okay, forget that. All right, what are you frying it? And she's like, "Okay, we're done." Just eat it.
But don't make it sound too hard, because I do it all the
I
time,
know.
right? And there's just a few things. The other thing I really pay attention to is a lot of times your sides aren't listed. Like what sides come with it. So ask what your sides are, because a lot of times they're going to be rice, they're going to be potatoes, they're going to be that sort of stuff. So you can ask ahead of time, and what if it's something that you don't want, you can ask, "Oh, is there a veggie?"
They always have a veggie medley. They
Yeah.
always have some kind of vegetable.
And they'll
for
let you double up on it. If
Yeah.
this says 2 sides, you can have 2 servings of veggies.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So they're usually, you just have to talk to them. They're really pretty accommodating.
And I notice more waitresses and waiters. They're getting more keto people coming into the restaurant, and they have the answers ready now for you.
Yeah.
So it's getting big.
Yeah, especially with a lot of stuff that comes with bread now, a burger, or
like
a
protein
sandwich,
style burgers. Everywhere.
Everybody's got a lettuce wrap option now.
Everyone.
Yeah.
Well, that's exciting. It makes it easier if you're on the go and you're out of town traveling. Every time we have a biofitter ask us, "Well, man, I'm going out of town. I have somebody down in Texas for the next 4 days. I have another couple biofitters in South Carolina for the next 4 days. I got a lot of travel." And I said, "Hey, no, it's one of the easiest things to do. You always have breakfast. You always have eggs. You always have omelets. You always have vegetable omelets. Easiest thing. You always have a meat. You have bacon. Then you have your lunches like this." And they go, "Hey, yeah, you're right. It's really not that hard." Not at all.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not at all.
And what do we tell? I mean, we've said it a million times on this podcast, but what do we tell people when they slip up and they cheat?
Beat themselves up. We shame them.
We shame them.
I call them and say, "Look, I'm done." No. And we're really anti-shame. We do not. No, we'll get you back in. You and I we'll get them back in.
Yeah,
and don't feel guilty if you're going to slip up a little bit. Enjoy the moment, and let's just get you back in. There's no reason to beat yourself up.
Spiraling happens from guilt, right? We spiral when we guilt ourselves, or when we make it a bigger deal than it actually is. If you eat some chocolates over Valentine's Day, just leave it at that. That's what it is. And
don't get obsessive, okay? And I'm one to speak about that, right?
Coach us on how not to be obsessive.
I am king OCD. All right. She's helped me over the years. Trust me. She's really helped me.
I have my own issues.
Yeah, that's true. What am I talking about? But no, I've learned my wife has really helped me to just ease up a little bit. Don't, "Oh, no, I got some carbs in my mouth." No, I don't do that.
They just need to
anymore.
always remember, tomorrow's a new day.
Yeah.
It's always a new beginning, new day. And so
just don't make a habit.
It's not a big deal.
And just get back in.
So this has been awesome. This food is delicious. Thank you so much. Is there anything else you want to make sure people know about cooking keto?
I do. Cooking keto is not as hard as they think. It's our mindset that makes us think, "Oh, it's too overwhelming. I can't do it. It's too hard." And it's not really. It's really quite easy, because like I said before, I'm not a gourmet cook, and cooking's not my favorite, but I cook because we need to eat, of course, and I want it to taste good.
Yeah.
And so doing keto hasn't been a huge transition in changing the recipes, because just about any recipe that you have, you can turn it into keto very, very easy.
Yeah. And we're on a mission to make it easier,
Yeah,
even easier for
absolutely.
people, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you are inventing things in
better.
your kitchen, but those things now go out to the world to hopefully make it easier and
Yeah.
better for people.
And I'm very repetitious in my food. That's why I don't even put it on Fitness Pal anymore, because it's the same thing.
It's the same
my eggs,
thing.
my bacon, my liver, and she is really creative. So anytime she's making meals or she's telling me about it, I'm trying all these new meals. So she's actually motivating me to say, hey, don't be so lazy. Get creative, because I do like to cook, and I'll make myself a big meal, but I need to branch out, and I've learned a lot from her. I go, oh my gosh, Laura made this, and that's why she's here. That's why she's here.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
That's
Well,
awesome.
and we learn from each other, so
Yeah.
it'll be wonderful when all our keto friends share their feelings, comments, and their recipes too. You know,
Yeah,
and if
we're-
they have something, I'll be more than happy to convert it for them or
Yeah, give
whatever.
it a try.
You know, to
Yeah.
Yeah.
make it work.
Absolutely. Whatever we can do to help people out. And the other thing is if you're listening to this or watching this, whatever, and you try these recipes and you tweak them a little bit or you do something with them and you like what you share it with us.
Absolutely.
We're not saying this is the best
Right.
way they can be.
No.
I mean, they're incredible. But if you can make them better, you better tell us about it.
Absolutely, share. It's all about sharing. That's how
And
we,
this isn't what
Sharing
we
is
call
caring.
filler food. You know, this is good
No.
food.
Yeah.
You know, anybody can go out and eat filler food, and that's part of the problem why we have obesity, because we're eating a lot of filler food. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's not even good tasting food. But with keto, because you're bringing in the fat, you're getting the taste and you're getting the satiation from it, to where you're not hungry afterwards. You know, you feel
Yeah.
satiated. And that's key. For losing body composition and making a change, you want to feel satiated. You want that brain to say, hey, I got ketones, beta-hydroxybutyrate molecule. It's there. It's coming. I don't need to give you cravings. That was plenty of food.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah. Well, thanks for biohacking with us today, Eric.
You bet.
Thanks for cooking
Yeah.
with us today.
Oh,
All right.
you're
Laura.
welcome. Glad to be a part.
And I want to thank you for joining us on this quest for optimal fitness. If you're ready to begin your own journey and live your life in ketosis, be sure to check out biofitcoaching.com and BioFit Coaching on Facebook. There's some great conversations going on in those venues. Also, some recipes. You can link to this meal from there. Just join us over there. We'd love to help out any way we can and also hear from you. And also, if we've helped you in any way, if this podcast has helped you in any way, please consider jumping on iTunes and leaving us a 5-star review or a 5-star rating with a great review telling people why you like the podcast. And most of all, and lastly, if this has helped you at all, please, the greatest compliment you can give us is sharing with your friends and family that you love that could use this information. Okay, and finally, one last thing. Remember, you can find these recipes and instructions at biofitcoaching.com/be mine. That's BEMINE, be mine, like be my Valentine.
Yeah.
And until next time, stay keto.